Wow, live. How do you like that? We haven't been live for a long time, so it's kind of exciting to be able to come here and talk to all of you. I just got finished with a trip of a lifetime. It was a wonderful experience. I went to the RTR, and that was just a blast. I had a lot of fun. Not at the RTR proper. I did go, but I didn't spend much time there. I wish them the best of luck, but I was just so busy with everything else at the RTR, at the other events that were around the RTR. Let's put it that way. I got to do an interview with Bob Wells, and I'm going to have that interview up very shortly. He said it was the best interview he had ever had in his career with anyone, and that really made me feel good. And looking at the views, we got some generator background noise, and I wasn't posed very well at all. So I'm a little self-conscious about even showing the interview. But I think we got to some of the substance of what I really wanted to talk about with Bob Wells. Let me raise this up a little bit. After that, I had a wonderful time. I went to Borrego Springs. I went to Slab City. I went to Oceanside. I went to El Centro in the Imperial Valley in California, and just had a blast. I spent several days in Slab City. I got an interview with Randy Vining, and he let me tape a little bit of him. And if you know Randy Vining, he's very, very cautious about who he lets tape him, and he let me tape him. I was able to get some great things at the Range, which is the music venue in Slab City. Although you can't really put much of that on YouTube, and the reason for that is that they don't want you to put other people's music on YouTube. And of course, none of that was my music. But it was phenomenal music and a wonderful experience. I got to talk to Jinxie a little bit. She's Builder Bill's girlfriend. He's the one that runs the Range. I got to meet some of the movers and shakers. I got to go to the Oasis Club, and that was really something. And I just had a blast. And then I went to the Holtville Hot Springs, and that was an incredible experience. I found a wonderful place to boondock. Didn't cost me a cent, and I stayed, I would say, probably 10 nights there. It was just an absolute blast. Chef Santa, hello, brother. How are you? Chef Santa and I have been talking. RV Davies on the line. Hello, RV Davy. He really was encouraging of me, and I really appreciate Chef Santa. If you haven't seen Chef Santa, you should check him out. I also got to meet Camper Goer 1. Camper Goer 1 often is on my channel, and so I finally got to put a face behind the name, and it was kind of an interesting story. I was out on the interstate looking for internet because at school, and I got to go to Schoolypalooza, so I was at Schoolypalooza and I couldn't get any internet, and so I went out to the highway and I was able to finally connect and upload one of my stories. And then I was coming back into town. I was parked on the side of the road doing final internet things, and who should show up? Camper Goer 1. And so I wasn't able to spend much time with her because I was leaving the next morning and she got in pretty late. But at least I was able to meet her, and she was very instrumental. I ended up with some kind of infection, a staph infection on my hip, and she was very instrumental in convincing me to seek medical treatment, and I did. And that's what I needed. I really needed urgent medical treatment because the infection was just getting out of hand. And you know me, or maybe you don't, but I'm a guy, I hate doctors. Especially on the road, tracking down a doctor is so difficult, and I would rather not do it if I didn't have to. A lot of people have been asking me about oxygen, and I was able to go completely off the oxygen when I was at 200 feet below sea level. That's where Slab City is, and I had to go back on the oxygen when I got to New Mexico, and was in pretty dire need. We were at about 4,000 feet at that point, and I went over Raton Pass, which I think is 9,500 feet. And trust me, I was sucking up the supplemental oxygen bottles that I was have brought with me. So I have to really think about where my future lies. I got back to Denver, and of course, the minute I got back to Denver, all of the things started. All of the reasons why I left Denver in the first place started again. And what are they? I had to take care of some business matters, and every day I will go and do that. And I had a few court appearances left, and I was taking care of those. And oil change on the van, and just thing after thing after thing. And every single day, except for 2 days since I've been back, I've been pushing to get something done. Today, finally, I'm kind of taking off and not doing very much. But if you ask people why are you doing the van life, you're in a situation where you don't have to do the van life. I'm not completely homeless. It's not like I can't live any other way. I'm doing the van life because I want to do the van life. And why are you? People say, why are you doing that? I've got a guy right by me getting into his car. And the reasons are that I have become very disillusioned with life in the sticks and bricks society. You can't drive anywhere in Denver without worrying about getting a photo radar ticket. Anywhere. You can't drive any single place in Denver. I'm constantly worried about police harassment. People don't like the beard, and they think that I'm a homeless guy when they take a look at my vehicle. And so I'm trying to get away from that. I'm trying to go to a place where maybe that isn't as much the case. And all the other problems that you have in normal life, I'm trying to escape those problems. It isn't, I'm so tired of working hard so that I can have something nice, so that I can work hard to pay for that thing, and then I get that nice thing and it makes me happy for a minute, and then I want to get something else nice. And for example, traditionally people will buy an expensive car, and they work their tails off paying for that expensive car, and they've had that car for a few years, and now they got to have the latest cell phone, and every year they got to trade up on the cell phones, and that's another $1,000–1,500 every year. And then they want the latest computer. Now you got to spend the money on the latest computer, and that makes you happy for a few minutes, and then you've got to look for something else. You got to have the latest style. Especially women are famous for this, but some men are too. They've got to be styling and have the newest clothes. I got this thing roughly 6 years ago. It was a gift from a concerned friend when I was out bicycling and I didn't have any warm weather gear, and they gave this to me. Hello, Lauren, how are you? Roy and Becky's Travels, howdy, howdy. Good to see you guys here. I really appreciate you tuning in. And so what I'm trying to do here, and I think a lot of van people are kind of like I am, is that I'm trying to find my happiness in experiences, and I'm trying to find my happiness in doing other things and not getting stuck looking for a material thing to bring me happiness. My relationships bring me happiness. My experience with nature has brought me a great deal of happiness. My travels and getting to see new places constantly bring me happiness. And I'm not looking for that happiness at the end of a new car. Wow, you missed me at Hobotech. Yeah, Hobotech had a great camp this year. If you haven't been to Hobotech camp, Chef Santa says he's worked all his life, and unfortunately now in the golden, I have to watch my spending. I know all still going on the road is going to give me a better quality of life. You know what? I think you're right. I think you will have a better quality of life once you're on the road. And when you begin to depend on fewer things to bring you happiness, and you depend more on experiences and relationships and a communion in a sense with nature, you become a lot happier. And I didn't realize how much things were holding me down. Things have really held me down. Material things have held me down. For example, finally we rented one of my properties that's been vacant for over a year. Imagine over a year. The taxes are $3,500 a year. I have to pay the taxes because I don't have a tenant. And what a noose around my neck that property has been, because I've had to worry about vandalism, I had to worry about freezing pipes, and it's a thing that has me connected to the earth that in a not a very positive way. It's something that isn't giving me any benefit, yet I'm having to really worry about it. Lauren said, I stopped buying stuff about 5 years ago. I agree. Oops. Got to see if I'm sorry, guys. This is difficult. Lucy, I agree. I rather travel and have experience than have things. And isn't that the case? Traveling and experiences are something that you'll take with you for the rest of your life. You could go flat broke and you'll still remember that trip to the RTR, that trip to Pacific City, that trip to wherever you went are going to be moments. And getting back to the Hobotech thing, he and Sasnak set up a wonderful camp. They welcomed me in. They were so friendly. They took me in their ATV. I'd never been in an ATV before. I've done the dirt bike thing, but never the four-wheel ATV. I got to meet all those people and do the campfire thing, and it was a lot of fun. I spent one night at the PAR-TR, and I didn't get to meet very many people because I didn't spend enough time there. But it was a cruising, cooking event. I'll tell you, it was trailer to trailer, motorhome to motorhome, tent to tent. And they had a wonderful setup there, and I got to see Aja. I didn't get to meet Aja because she was very busy. Roy and Becky says, we have half of the stuff sold. Our house is a noose too. Yeah, living in a house can be a tremendous noose. And I have a house in the mountains I've got to figure out what to do with. But I was talking with a doctor. That was one of the reasons I had to come back, doctor's appointments. I was talking to the doctor and he said, aren't you going to live in your house anymore? And I said, here's my choice. I can go to the mountains and be on oxygen 24/7. Carrying a machine around with me or connected to the bigger machine, but 24/7 I have to be on oxygen because my levels are about 82% oxygen saturation. Most of your levels would be 98, 99%. I'm at 82%. So when I'm in the mountains, I've got to be on oxygen. Or I can go to Slab City, or I can go to Texas, or I can go to California, or to Oregon, closer to sea level, and not be on oxygen. Now, how hard a choice is this? Well, it's a very hard choice because my home is a very, very tiny home. It's a buffet apartment, essentially. But it's my home. It's where I've lived for many years, and leaving it is going to be exceptionally difficult. And in the Colorado mountains, there's no better place than the Colorado mountains. You don't find Colorado in California. You don't find Colorado in any of the other states. You find semblances of Colorado in all those places, but you don't find Colorado the way Colorado is anywhere. The closest to it is Alaska, where the mountains rise from sea level to 22,000 feet. But otherwise, you're not going to find Colorado anywhere. But what do you do? Do I want Colorado with an oxygen tube stuck in my nose, or do I want just to live happily? Hello, Camper Goer 1. Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. I just mentioned your name, and I told them the story about how we met on that road that night, and I was expressing my sadness that I wasn't able to spend more time with you guys. It was one of my objectives, was to get to know people and meet people. But unfortunately, I had some plans, and so I had to head out. And but maybe next time. And Camper Goer 1 is the one that got me to go to a doctor. I'm not sure I would have gone to a doctor. And the doctor was a little concerned over how advanced this stuff that was growing on me was, how advanced that thing was. So I needed to get to a doctor. And so thank you guys for encouraging me and standing by me. I really appreciate it. And Camper Goer One has stood by many people. A lot of people don't know, and I'm not going to tell her secrets out of school, but she has helped a lot of people in the nomad community. And isn't that the idea, that we are going to help people? We find the most happiness not when we get the new cell phone, not when we get the new car, but when we can help somebody else do something, whether it's successfully camp, or whether it's building a fire together, or whether it's helping somebody figure it out so that they can eventually find some freedom that some of us have found. It's moral support. You know, being out on the road is tough. You're all by yourself, and you don't have people to talk to every day, and I miss that a little bit. And it's so nice to have all of you guys, when I do these live broadcasts, tune in, and it really means something to me. So thank you, all of you, for tuning in, because it means a lot. It means it's hard to describe. Hello, Gus and the Bus. How are you? Good. I saw your live feed earlier today. Okay. Thank you for tuning in, and I appreciate it, Chef Santa, and I'm dying to meet you. You're another one, you and Camper Goer One, and of course Gus and the Bus, and Saznak, and Hotek. I want to meet all of you guys, and I got a great interview with Saznak. That was interesting. I got to tour his bus. Man, if you can afford a Prevost bus, guys, that's the way to live. That is an incredible machine. I think he's going to be a little challenged to provide electricity, and the bus really depends upon an electrical connection. But he's a smart guy. He'll figure it out. And in the meantime, he's living absolutely in the lap of luxury. Well, thank you, Lauren. I appreciate it. Lauren says, my YouTube friends will always be here. And isn't that true? You know, sometimes my own close friends haven't been here for me, and my YouTube friends always seem to show up. And isn't that something? That's a gift that each of us can give to each other, is we can show up for each other. Buona buona, hello, how are you doing? Good to see all of you guys. It's really a great opportunity. I stopped doing live feeds for a little bit because I felt like I really wanted to do the reporting thing and tell you what my experiences were and really concentrate on it. I was also having a very difficult time finding an internet connection strong enough to support a live stream. I was always buffering. In one of my past live streams, people weren't getting what I was saying because it was buffering so much. Gus says, check out the $1.5 million RV in my last video. Maybe Saznek would like to have that one. Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying I have a special knack. Boy, that RV was $1.5 million, I guess. It looked like an expensive toy. And you can spend as much money on these things as you want. What I'm not interested in, I had a Class A, I've actually had 2 Class A's, diesel pushers, and what I'm not after is having to figure out where I'm going to park something at night, because you can't do it by the side of the road. You're going to get a ticket for it. And because the machine wants so much power, and so you need to plug in, or you're going to be burning diesel in order to run the expensive generators. And while they are comfortable, and you're going to have every comfort you could ever imagine, you're going to have hot water almost on demand, almost as much as you want, and you're going to bathe in a big shower, and you've got a wonderful toilet. Trust me, having a toilet is a nice thing in a house, you know, in your own house, in your traveling house. When you're in your van, it's a lot more difficult. And having a big kitchen and a microwave oven, those are all great things. But then nighttime rolls around, and you got to figure out where to put the thing. And when I had my Class A's, I ended up, the easiest thing to do is just go to a park and pay. And that's what I'm trying to get away from. I'm really not financed well enough to go to an expensive RV park and stay every night and pay money. I did find a phenomenal park in Texas, right on the ocean, but the park's not open all year long, and you can pay by the month. It's the only way that it made it affordable for me. And then I used my tow vehicle, and was able to get around. And I could do that again, and maybe that's something I'll have to look at as I'm doing all these travels. Hello, Kat, how are you? Good to see you. And if I'm missing somebody, I'm really sorry. The things are just flying by on my screen. Sometimes I'm able to get them to come back. Frederick, hello, Frederick. Let's see. Lauren says they miss me. Well, that makes me feel really good. No, Gus, I didn't buy the inverter yet. I'm going to, but I haven't done it. What I'm thinking about now is buying solar panels. The big decision I have to make, I would love some feedback on this, is do I hang around Denver for another 2 weeks, enough time to have solar panels sent? Renogy sells a pretty good kit. I would probably buy 300 watts, but then I got to install it. I've never installed that system before, and I don't know how hard it is. I've got roof racks, so that should make the whole process easier. And I would try to go for an MPPT controller, and then I got to buy a battery. And what I found, one of my biggest challenges while I was on the road was getting power. I found that my current battery wasn't even able to keep up with my cell phone. And in this old van, it's an old van. This is a 2003 Chevy Astro. The only way I can connect up to my battery charger is from the back of the vehicle. So the cell phone will go dead, and I would have to crawl in the back of the van and connect up the cell phone. In the meantime, you don't have the Google Map thing. And something else, just for you guys who are thinking about traveling, that I found out with Google Maps, is when you've dialed in your location and you're following the directions. Turn right here, turn left here, drive straight for 5 miles. They don't tell you, Google Maps doesn't say lost signal. And I lost the signal way out there in Arizona, in a remote area of Arizona. I took a wrong turn and I ended up backtracking. It took me over 60 miles out of my way, and I didn't know it. I had no idea. So Gus says, easy to install on roof racks. 300 watts is too much, but okay. And I could go for 200 watts. But the other new change is the doctors want me to go on CPAP therapy. It turns out I don't know why they don't tell me this sooner, but we got the results back from the sleep study. I quit breathing 90 times in 3 hours. And every time you quit breathing, you're starving your body, your heart probably, for oxygen. And so they want me to do the CPAP thing, and I've got to figure out a way to power that CPAP. I don't want to go to motel. I don't want to go to an RV park. I've done that. When I was on the Pacific Coast, I would go to a campground and roll down the window and plug in my oxygen machine. And I don't want to do that because I'm trying to get away from having to pay the high rents. For some reason, the national parks and all the public places have figured out that they can get an incredible amount of money off of us for the mere privilege of letting us park there. And many of us don't need electricity. We don't need their sewer dumps. And they still charge 35, 45, 60. I found one national park or state park, probably state park in California, right along the coast, $60 if you want to spend the night. And no vans. They only want RVs because they want to make sure that you're self-contained. I'm self-contained. I've solved the waste problem. So I'm being very careful and very responsible with what I'm doing waste-wise. Camper Goin says, ask CVK. I presume that's, I'm not sure who that is, how he does his CPAP. I'm getting a lot of comments and not able. Yikes, I used a CPAP for a while before I lost weight. It was life-changing. I felt 1,000,000 times better. I think I will too. The CPAP may need additional batteries to run at night. Yeah, the problem isn't the batteries. The problem is how do you charge those batteries? I found a portable CPAP that I think I could get, and it comes with a big battery, but then how do you charge that battery? Because you can't charge that battery and charge your cell phone. My system just isn't robust enough to do a lot of charging. The car battery feels like it's almost dead in the morning, and so maybe I need a new battery, maybe I need a better alternator. But I was thinking that solar panels would work, but then now I've got the problem. Once you put solar panels in, where do you put the battery? Battery's gas, and you don't want to put the battery in the living compartment, and I don't have a trailer hitch, I don't have a rack on the back, so I've got to figure all of that out. Why not a Jackery 500? But you got to charge that Jackery. That's the problem. And so I'm thinking, well, I'll buy a Jackery or one of those large solar kits, and then I'll go to a truck stop and plug in for 8 hours. Some of those take 8 hours to charge. That's not going to be very free. I'm not going to be free. I'm going to have to spend every third day in a truck stop and hope I can find one that lets you plug in. They don't all have. Sometimes I was in a McDonald's the other day. They had taken out every electrical outlet. The one in Quartzsite, Arizona, took out all their electrical outlets so the public can't plug in. They don't want you plugging your cell phone in, and they don't want you, certainly wouldn't want me to bring a big battery in and plug it in. So I've got to figure something else out. And in the worst case scenario, I could just plug it into the car, and I don't know what you do for the cell phone. It's just a terrible problem. So the decision I got to make is, do I hang around here, taking a terrible risk that the longer I stay, the more I'm going to get stuck in something. When you're hanging around your home base, your chances of getting stuck are when I come back home, what I find is that I get stuck. There are people that want me to do things. Don't buy a Jackery, Gus says, because they're not expandable. He says he has one, but they're way too expensive, and they are expensive. I was looking at it, and I've been looking at Hobotech's reviews, and I appreciate those reviews. Will Prowse, if you guys are on the internet and need some really good reviews, I think that guy appears to be pretty honest in his reviews, while other people, I don't know how you be honest about a review when people are sending you things for free, but Hobotech seems to be pretty honest about his reviews, and there just is no easy solution. What I need is more power, and if I put solar panels on the roof, then in theory, and I'm in Texas, Colorado may not be right. It's been overcast every day for 2 weeks in Colorado. I've never known Colorado to be this overcast and this stinky. It's just a stinky place right now. It's cold every single day. It rains, it snows, and if it doesn't do that, yesterday, no rain, no snow, it was just overcast. And that solar panels wouldn't work very well in that situation. And I guess Oregon can be that way, and Washington can be that way, and parts of California can be that way. But if I'm in Texas, you would think the solar panels would work. And so the decision I'm trying to make is, do I wait a few extra weeks? And I've got somebody that could help me. They don't know anything about solar panels either. It's going to be the blind leading the blind, but that guy's a lot more experienced with tools. I don't. You put a drill in my hand, yeah, watch out! Everybody runs, because I'm an attorney. I don't know very much about how to run tools, and I'm not very handy. So my friend would help me figure out how to attach the things to the roof, and then I don't see what's so hard about this. You run the wire, either drill a hole in the top, or you run a wire into the car, and then you hook it up to the battery, and then you put an inverter on the other side of that, and presumably Renogy is going to send some kind of instructions. You put a fuse in it so that if you've hooked it up all wrong, you burn out the fuse instead of causing a fire. I just don't see what's so hard about it. But the hard part is going to be figuring out what to do with the battery so that I don't gas myself. And a lot of people take that chance, I guess, and they put the battery in the living compartment and they gas themselves, or take the risk of gassing themselves. And I was hoping to avoid that. The other option is just to go look for another vehicle that is more friendly to travel. And it's not like I'm just swimming in money. My finances have been better this year than they have ever been. I've never been a wealthy guy and made a lot of money, but I'm doing okay right now. Um, but I'm not doing, for example, I found a beautiful motorhome, a Chinook, in the new recreated Chinook, and very low miles. It was a diesel, and uh, $80,000. Well, where am I going to get $80,000? Are you kidding? And I looked at what the payment on the darn thing would be, and it was enough to cause you to have a heart attack. Uh, Geez, that's a lot of money. $1,200, $1,500 a month for, and it's my home. But if I'm gonna, it's just me. If I'm gonna invest $1,500 a month in a place to live, I'm gonna own it. It's gonna be land, or it's gonna be some real estate that maybe will go up in value. That motorhome that I looked at, that I really fell in love with it, but that thing is just gonna go down, is just gonna bottom out in value, and that doesn't make any sense to me. So Camper Gore One says, "Get out of Dodge," and Lauren Boucher says, "Well, it is Colorado." And Gus says, "Solar panels are easy to install with a roof rack." And Camper Goer One says, "Use a sealed battery." Well, my understanding is a sealed AGM battery is still gas. The liquids are sealed, but when they recharge, they gas, and it's the gas that will kill you, or the gas. I've already have problems. Do I want to cause more respiratory problems with unhealthy gases that are pouring into my lungs? So what they recommend is that you put the battery in a sealed box, and then you put a tube in the battery box, and then you run it to the outside of your vehicle. Well, that would mean drilling into the side of my vehicle. Honestly, this vehicle is an older vehicle, and if I put a hole in the side, I do not see any problem with any holes in the roof or any holes in the side. We're already at 240,000 miles on this vehicle. It might have 60,000 more miles left to go, but a battery vent, Gus says, yes. Well, I took a stab at your last name, Lauren, and hard to tell. And you see, my teeth are turning a little black. You know what that comes from, I found out, is from the antibiotics. I was on a heavy antibiotic for 10 days, every 6 hours. So try that one out. 3 o'clock in the morning, you got to wake up and take one of these darn pills. Anyway, those are some of the challenges, and honestly, I'd like to just get out of Dodge and forget the solar panels, and I might do that because I know the longer I stay here, the more likely I am to get stuck. And the other thing, I don't tell anybody these things, but I'm living with some friends. I'm staying in their apartment, and after a few weeks, a guest in your apartment becomes garbage. No one wants somebody to come and stay with them for an extended period of time. And so I don't want to take advantage of my friends. I love spending time with them, and I really enjoy their company, but I don't want to take advantage of them. And I can stay in the parking lot, and they've let me stay in the parking lot during really big snowstorms. Right now, they're letting me stay in their apartment with them. I'm in the living room, kind of on the couch deal, and I don't want to do that. I just don't feel comfortable doing that. I would rather be out in my van. But in Denver, it's real hard to do, and well, probably not really hard. I could probably do it. But your friends are there, and they say, no, you can't do that. They don't want me to do that. And so the longer I stay in that situation, the worse it is, I think, for them, and the worse, it's just not a good situation. If I'm gonna hang around this place for a long time, here we're back with the tethers. I need to go rent an all-stay motel room, and I don't want to do that. I have my van. This is my home. This is where I live, and I don't want to start a new relationship with a new real estate based anything. I want to move on. I want to go do the nomad life. And so those are the other things that I'm thinking about. And they're not easy decisions to make. And it's time to get out of here. Pat says, I'm getting my house ready to sell here in Southern California, moving to Arizona. You know, I think anybody that has any real estate in California should sell it and take the big profit and go buy a house for half the price in Arizona. I'm not saying that houses in Arizona are cheap, but I did look. And for example, Borrego Springs, you could get a pretty nice house. Well, Borrego Springs is in California, but you can find some pretty inexpensive properties. Quartzsite, Arizona is a bargain if you can stand the heat, or just stay there for 6 months out of the year and travel. You could sell your house in California. You could sell your house in Seattle, Washington. You could sell your house in any of the major cities, in Portland. You could sell your house in Denver. And with the money you get from that, you could buy half the house and put an extra 200 or 400, depends on how big your house is, in your pocket. Assuming that you have your house paid for. I don't, so that won't work for me. But I think that's a really smart plan, is that you take your money and hello, Princess. I'm glad you mentioned Nix. You know, I had to make a really hard decision with Miss Nix. She's my cat, and the decision was, do I take her with me or do I not? And I could just envision Miss Nix getting eaten by a wolf or by a coyote. There aren't too many wolves in Arizona, but by a coyote, because she is such a wanderer. She loves to get out, and I kind of gave her the opportunity to see how much she wanted her freedom, and she really wants it. And so I could imagine her being cooped up in my little van, and the minute the door opens, she's going to be gone. And I know she'll come back, assuming that she's able to come back, but I felt that I was really going to put her life in danger. And so I made a difficult decision and decided that she should stay with my friends. And they dearly love her, and she has another cat, and they play games all the time. They don't like each other very much, but it's really funny to watch them interact. And she, I think, is in a much better place. She's in less danger than if I took her with me. And you know, I really wanted to take her with me. I think she would improve my channel. I think we'd get more hits and people would really like her. But I think that would be of me very selfish. At some future date, when I maybe have a bigger vehicle and she would have a little more room and I could feel more confident that I could protect her, I will bring her with me because she and well, a lot of people don't, well, nobody knows this. I tuck her in every single night. She climbs up to her bed and she goes, "Meow," and that's my signal to climb up and tuck her in. And it happens every single night. We are really bonded. But I had to make a decision about what's going to be best for her. And instead of making my channel a more popular channel, or and me feeling a little less lonely on the road, I decided that I better protect this cat. She's a very special cat, and it was really hard. Cost of living is pretty cheap here in Texas. I love Texas. Camper Goer One says she thinks it was the right thing to do to take care of the cat and protect her. And my friends that allow me to stay with them sometimes love her dearly. And my close friend has kind of adopted her, and she really likes him. You know, sometimes your cat will come into a house and they don't adjust well to the people. Cats choose who they want to have as a friend, and she chose him. She really likes him, and he takes her for a walk every night when I'm not here, so I feel comfortable with her. Well, guys, I've been going on for a long time. I want to thank all of you for being there for me, and I came live today because I haven't put up a video for a while. My last video was about the hot spring in New Mexico. I didn't say it in my video, but I had a bad experience there. I was accused of taking pictures of people, and security came to me and grabbed my camera out of my hand. And sure enough, there were no people in my videos because I've had the experience. Gus was a great teacher, and I learned that you don't take pictures of strangers. But they accused me of it, and so it was an unfortunate thing, and a lesson for me to be even more cautious when I go to places and people don't know me, to be very cautious, because people make the wrong assumption about people with long beards as strangers that come into their midst. All I was trying to do is do a review of that hot spring, and those people are just petrified. Imagine living in that much fear that everybody that comes into your midst is going to harm you. I wouldn't harm a fly, you know. I'm not here to hurt anybody. I'm here to bring happiness and joy into people's lives. But people took one look at me and said, get out of here. We don't want you near us. And it was a nasty experience. It was really, really sad. So sometimes that happens, and you just have to move on and not take it personally. And yeah, you know, they're in a quasi-public place. It's on private property, that hot spring is, but it's open to the public. And so I don't know why people think they have an expectation of privacy, but I respected their privacy. I did not take pictures of them. And the security guard, when he looked at all my stuff, and he took my phone and looked at all the stuff, knew that I had not taken pictures of anyone. And but it still was, when that happens to you, you still feel bad, and I felt bad. I felt very unwelcome and unwanted, and I felt like I was just a dirty homeless guy. You know, that's what they were portraying me as. And I know I wasn't dirty because I just had a bath at the truck stop just an hour before. It was a very unfair view of me, but you know, it was interesting. You can't change people's views, and it was interesting to me to see what other people thought of me. Maybe the beard needs to come off, and maybe I need to have a cleaner look. I don't know, but I'm not here for people's approval, but it also doesn't feel good when you get people's disapproval. So anyway, I'm telling you some really personal things. It was a difficult experience, and one that I'll always remember. Anyway, I've been going on, and I wanted to thank you guys very much for tuning in. You all mean a lot to me, and hopefully we'll meet some of you guys. Chef Santa promises he's going to be out there next year, and I hope to meet him and all of you. So thank you, and I wish you all the very best, guys. Now I got to figure out how to turn this thing off. Somebody did make a comment. Pat said, same thing happened to me when I was videoing in a park across the street from my house. People in the park were freaking out, telling me I had to delete my video. So I shouldn't feel like the Lone Ranger, you know. And Pat is the one that took me in the ATV, and we just had a blast. I had a great time with his family. That guy made me feel so welcome, and he didn't know me from Adam, but he made me feel really, really special. And we got to see the old stone house. We got to see a lot of things in the desert. Thank you guys for being there for me. It just means a lot. It really does. Okay, guys, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.